in more concentration camps, and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people. How much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
That was in Nebraska tonight at a town hall held by Republican Congressman Mike Flood. Him hearing from his constituents tonight. We have total clarity now on what Trump's intentions are for the country. But I mean it when I say we. The country gets it and is more against it than they've ever been. And opposing this administration and what Trump is trying to do is turning out to be the story of the century. Americans are badgering elected Republicans every.
Well, do you guys remember him now that you see him, this guy? Because, again, I covered the first two town halls. I'm starting to think this is a kink. He must enjoy being publicly humiliated and then is, giving himself, Andrew Jackson's in the back room. I don't know why else. What is the benefit of being publicly humiliated to the point you're in Nebraska and the national news media picks this up and publicly laughs at you? Fox News played clips of it. It's why would you want to be humiliated on this level? And after the first two times, be yeah, that really hit right. Let's go for a third time of public humiliation. These people are are you stupid? I've never heard people talking to a person like this. And he's yeah.
Why did you cut SNAP and healthcare research?
We do not have unlimited money in the United States.
Why did you cut?
Can't express enough. We don't, Mike Idiot Flood. Oh, thank you for explaining that to me, because you're talking about our money. These people sent you to Congress to quote unquote appropriate, decide what to do with our tax dollars, and you have now ceded power to the executive branch and to fascism in doing that. You know what's really funny though? There's always money for Elon Musk's, $8 million a day in welfare, in government subsidies and contracts. There's always money for billionaires. There's always money for billionaires to not pay taxes. There's always money for corporations to not pay taxes or to lobby the government for deregulation. There's always money for wars. Trump ran MAGA. You can't be this dumb. You cannot be this dumb. I don't believe you're this dumb. I don't believe it. But I know you don't have a financial stake in this. I know you're being robbed. So the only thing I don't know what else to believe. If you're not this dumb, why would you let someone rob you over and over again? He ran on no new wars. We always have money. We've increased the size of the military budget twice. Oh God, what is ICE spending? $8 million a day? It's 8 point something million a day. I believe ICE is now the largest government agency, second only to the Bureau of Prisons. I know, MAGA, you can't read or do math, but all impact studies show long-term incarceration does not help society or recidivism rates. So we're paying for concentration camps for private prisons so corporations and billionaires can get rich. How are you benefiting from that? You're not. It doesn't lower recidivism, doesn't lower crime. We know that mathematically. So just food for thought that none of your brains work. And watching these random people in Nebraska just unload on Mike Flood is one of the most fascinating. This guy's just hey, just had a thought, which was brilliant. One second. Can we tap the screen? We should be at almost 200K. Sorry I was late today. Tap, tap, tap. Also share the live. I'm trying to get to 420 subscriptions. If you would like to subscribe or buy a monthly sub for someone else, it is the yellow star in the left-hand corner, the arrow in the bottom right corner. Use that to share the live so we can get some more people in here. Because God, some of these comments we're about to listen to are so good. Like, and just remember, I think the reason I like to play these moments is because it doesn't, wherever you are, in the Midwest, on the coast, wherever, like, there are people all over that think just like we do, right? I mean, truly. And we're going to get into the gerrymandering of Texas and the updates on all of that. And because of that, I'm very fascinated by voter suppression and the numbers around it and how Republicans win elections. Because as we know, I could make a mathematical argument for how Trump won his second presidency just on voter suppression, just on suppressing voter rolls in swing states in the South. I can mathematically show you how Kamala Harris could have won if Trump didn't have tons of psychos challenging the voter rolls and illegally removing people, right? Well, I shouldn't say illegal in some states where voter suppression is wrong, but not in the South. So there's a lot of reasons, but I just think none of us are alone, right? Doesn't matter how red of a state you think you're in. There are many people who feel just like you, and more importantly, moderates, right? Or I shouldn't say moderates. I don't like that word. Independents.
A lot's been talked about Medicaid, healthcare, etc. A lot of countries in the world, Europe, Canada, they have healthcare for the people there. Outside, just now you said, you don't want to see a lazy 28-year-old get healthcare, whatever. My point is, every working and retired American should be entitled to health care. Would you sign on or write up a bill for Medicare for all? We've got Medicare now. We can start rolling back the age 5-10 years at a time. Would you support that?
We can't afford that.
Yes, you can.
We protected Medicaid as the safety net for those who cannot care for themselves, who are vulnerable, for those who are able-bodied and working. I will tell you this, and I cannot take any credit for it. President Trump is going to bring down prescription prices because the countries you mentioned have been paying way too little for way too long, and we've been subsidizing them. And if we as a country I want to pay the same price for the drugs that are in London as they are in Lincoln. And that has not happened for a long time. We've been subsidizing these foreign governments and their socialized health care. This will get solved by President Trump. It will mark the biggest change in healthcare spending in 50 years. And I'm confident that's where we're going.
So every word he said is a lie. I mean, or up for interpretation, right? Or he's an idiot. Again, I don't know how many of these people are as dumb as the people voting for them, or that is up to interpretation. But I just want to be clear, yeah, I do agree while we pay for Israel to defend themselves, that Israel has universal health care and has free university. Yeah, while we pay for their stupid Golden Dome and their defense systems so they can slaughter everyone in neighboring countries and starve a bunch of people in an open air prison, we do pay for all of that so that they can pay for free school and free university and free healthcare for everyone in Israel, which I think is ridiculous. But to say, I think he's talking about the European Union, that we're subsidizing their drug price, that's not true. In Israel's case, while we pay for their defense, they get to just run a socialist country, which I don't think socialist is a bad word, because I understand it just means regulating capitalism and creating equity and equality. Israel does. But in the case of Europe, what they do is what we should be doing, right? There's 300 something, how many people are in this country? 350 million. Well, then we become a collective bargaining unit. That's how you get drug prices lower. You drive them down by bargaining as a whole, not bargaining as individual insurance groups. Period. That's how drug prices are lower at other places. It's very simple. It's called collective bargaining. No one knows what Mike Flood is talking about, but none of that is true.
It talks about two big changes to the Medicaid program. One of those changes is that if you are able to work and you are able-bodied, you have to work. If you choose not to work, you do not get free health care. You do not get free health care. Okay. So here's a question. Do you think that people who are 28 years old that can work and refuse to work should get free health care? I don't think that a majority of Nebraskans agree with you. It talks about two big...
Again, and I could go into long mathematical arguments of why he has no idea what he's talking about. And I can't, it just speaks to how dumb MAGA is. Every time I meet the Republicans you elect, that's when it really sinks in how dumb MAGA is. I'm like, holy shit, you guys are dumb. If this guy is making sense to you, if you're yeah, firing on all cylinders, God, you all are dumb as fuck. I don't know how, there's no other option at this point to really speak to that. But truly, what do you mean 28-year-olds shouldn't have health care? Yeah, in every developed country in the world, you should not have to sell yourself to a corporation for the right to go to the doctor, for the right for your children to go to the doctor. That's slavery. That's kind of crazy. I'm in every other developed free country in the world, that's how it works, except for ours, right? Where we sell our life force back to corporations for the right to have medication when we have an infection. But again, Trump ran on no new wars. We've started war after war. He celebrated starting a war with Iran. We had, how many was it? $50 million planes just fall off into the ocean, into the Mediterranean, just fall off the side of an aircraft carrier. We can afford all of that. We can afford Trump causing wars, starting wars, lying. We can afford anything, but we can't afford for people to go to the doctor. Come on. I know you can figure this out, MAGA. You can't be this dumb. Who bought all these subscriptions? U4RIA 12. No, wait. Hold on. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out where. Joby, hi! Thank you for... We made it to 420. Thank you for the 20 giveaway subs, Joby. You're amazing. Love you so much. Yeehaw. And thank you for the hat. Joby, you are so amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. We beat our goal, our sub goal. I'm just going to update it really quick. Joby's the best, longtime friend of the show. It's good to see you. I didn't see you on Monday. I always make note if I do or do not see you. Okay. Sorry, wrong goal. I'm going to... There we go. Let me just change this so we'll stop highlighting in red. Okay. Thank you so much, Joby. You're amazing. Cannot thank you enough. Okay. Oh, and here's the longer part. The clip Rachel Maddow was playing was the woman who started talking about Alligator Alcatraz, which again, I could show you exactly how we could afford universal health care just by eliminating private prisons in the United States and for-profit prisons. We are spending $450 million a year to keep Alligator Alcatraz running, which, by the way, a federal judge is considering shutting down. Yeah, as a matter of fact. And Tom Oman's like, who cares if we're ruining the environment?
My question is fiscal. With $450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and $600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps, and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people. How much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
And again, we know now, which by the way, I didn't do a piece on this, but I was reading articles on it. You remember all of the people who were thrown into a concentration camp in El Salvador? Again, we didn't deport people. We are paying millions of our tax dollars to have another essentially Guantanamo Bay, a place outside of U.S. jurisdiction where we're torturing people. You know, Andre, the gay makeup artist who had entered the United States, entered legally, never committed a crime, along with, there's like, I think of the 280 something people, I think 190 of them had never committed a crime in their lives in any country. A lot of them just got back to Venezuela. Andre, the gay makeup artist from Venezuela that was accused of being TDA, of part of Tren de Aragua because of tattoos, even though every expert on that gang has now testified in hearings that there are no tattoos associated with TDA. Trump just made that up and started sticking people in prison. Well, he's back with his family in Venezuela. And that's the question okay. So this is just a piece that was done for The Bulwark called "What Do We Owe Andre?" Our country sent this young man and hundreds of others to a foreign gulag to be tortured and sexually assaulted. The most piercing question from Watergate, which I love, which Lawrence O'Donnell keeps bringing up, is what did we know and when did we know it, right? What did the president know and when did he know it? The most piercing question from El Salvador deportation scandal might be, what did we all know and what did we do about it? We sent innocent people who entered the country legally, made an appointment in an app, had asylum court dates they were attending. We sent them to be tortured in concentration camps that our tax dollars are actively paying for. When we know that they had committed no crimes anywhere on earth, we let them be tortured. I don't know if anyone's read. Their faces were bashed into walls. They were sexually assaulted. They were beaten. They were starved. They had to defecate and pee on themselves. Anything you can imagine that would happen to these people happened who had never committed a crime in their lives. And our tax dollars paid for it. And Trump's trying to quietly ship them away and not talk about it anymore. How much do we owe these people who we paid as a country with our tax dollars to torture in a concentration camp? You tell me. Sorry, hold on. So it was it became clear not long after the Trump administration deported more than 250 Venezuelans in March to an El Salvadoran mega prison that they would be abused, tortured, or worse. The White House surely knew it, right? They made videos celebrating that these people were being tortured. Innocent people who only committed the crime of having a great tan, like myself. So the Washington Post article aptly was called "Welcome to Hell," reporting on what was done to Andre Jose Hernandez Romero at Secot. Now out of the prison, he and most of the other 250 Venezuelans, which I remember one time I was debating and some idiot, because MAGA, you guys are so dumb. So dumb. It's painful. Kept yelling, if you can't name their names, then they don't exist or something at me. Yeah, this is a hyperlink to all the people's names that you celebrated being tortured who were not criminals. Were suddenly released last month and sent to Venezuela. Suddenly released last month. Did you guys hear about this? Did you know? And sent to Venezuela. He recounted for the Post his harrowing experience. He was beaten and tortured for months, he said. And when he attempted to soothe a throbbing headache by bathing, 4 guards entered with their clubs and sexually assaulted him, forcing him to perform oral sex. This is a man who committed no crimes, made the mistake of having a crown with his mom's name and a crown with his dad's name, entered, qualified for asylum, had legal court dates, was snatched. Our tax dollars were used to take him outside of the country and torture and grape him over and over and over, while MAGA laughed about it. The former inmate said they couldn't see the sun, but could sometimes hear the rain. They described Secot as a place fit for animals, which, by the way, and I did pieces on this, Secot has long been known as a torture chamber in the International Criminal Court and by the UN. There were, what's his name's political opponents, the president of El Salvador's political opponents came out of there with pieces of their brain missing. And you guys cheered this on, because you can't read or do math. Our tax dollars paid to torture innocent humans, as you all cheered. If anyone wants to request it and tell me why this is okay, I will listen. Human rights organizations believe the prisoners' treatment at Secot violated, well, we know it did. They were already being investigated by the United Nations Convention Against Torture, to which both the United Nations and El Salvador are parties. Such violent treatment paired with sexual assault and forced disappearances, quote, if proved to be systematic and known to the government, can all constitute crimes against humanity. An article, yeah. So, I mean, that's the reality. Well, we're all just pretending this is great. Do you understand the difference between deporting people and kidnapping people and torturing and raping them somewhere? And giving millions and millions of dollars to people to torture and rape human beings who've committed 0 crimes? MAGA, are you capable of thinking your way through that? Because this is what you are responsible for. You are responsible for this. Your vote is on record. You are responsible for all of this. If you're not going to renounce Donald Trump and actively spend all your time saying, I made a giant mistake, I can't believe I supported someone who was torturing human beings, then you are complicit in every second of this and should be punished accordingly. I was just following orders is not an excuse. Or, hey, I'm an insecure white racist male who's scared that my piece of the pie is going to be taken by brown people, so I actively supported the torture of other human beings. I don't think history will remember you well. I mean, that's just me thinking out loud.
Given your full-throated support of the bill, whatever we call it, and your view of the facts, I'd like to know how you expect to pay back all of this debt that is going to be layered onto our grandchildren because we're not willing to make our rich part of our society pay their fair share.
So what's interesting about that, and I think it's a fair question, two things are happening here. People in here are upset with me that I voted to cut $2 trillion in spending from the budget.
Given your full throat.
Just want to be clear, because I actually can do math. Mike Flood can't. They keep saying, I keep hearing Republicans saying they cut 2.2 trillion from the budget. They didn't. It was 1.2 trillion, nearest I can tell. But we're borrowing 3.3 trillion. Like, if you believe in any way any of that math will save our children or our children's children from being in debt, then you actually can't do math. Like, there's no way any of this makes sense. We have 50 years or 45 years of trickle down economic data. There's no trickle down. Whatever the argument was, which it's dumb of you all to get got for this long. We know there's no trickling down. It's not happening. There's no excuse for any of this. Oh, I don't even, that's so nice. I found, this is what I was looking for. Sorry, some of these clips are just a little bit short and pointless, but this is Mike Flood coming out of like the stairwell or the bathroom. Watch this. Mike Flood voted to gut healthcare for millions. Now he's being stalked through the halls by women in handmaids' cloaks. Like the coward he is. He thought he could vote to strip us of care and walk away clean. Think again. You come for our bodies. We come for you. No peace for the oppressors. And I'm like, how does he not even realize any of this is happening? That hilarious. And it is funny because like I was just reading another report of how many women have died in southern states from being denied DNCs. I have to debate 18-year-old incels online all the time who don't understand that's another word for abortion. It is. Right? And just because men don't understand how women's bodies work because they've never touched or seen them and they're very angry about it, think somehow they're also experts on women's bodies at the same time. I was just reading numbers on how many women have recently unalived in southern states, and it's getting worse and worse because they don't have access to simple procedures they need to avoid sepsis. But hey, let's not do anything about it. Let's keep going. Okay, I want to get into the voting rights stuff now and like the Texas Democrats that broke quorum and have fled the state of Texas. Some of them are in New York, some in Illinois, some other places. I want to talk about that because, God, I've been seeing so much misinformation. It's driving me nuts. And Robert Reich, our de facto cult leader, made a short clip about it this morning. So I was like, about Shelby versus Holder and about even prior to what's happening now with Trump just being like, hey, I don't care. I'm going to gerrymander. States' rights, brother. We now have the federal government. This is the alleged party of states' rights, brother, calling up states, demanding 5 years after a census, which MAGA knows nothing about anything. Every 10 years, we do censuses and we redraw districts. Trump has 5 years in, 4.5 years in, demanded to just invent that white people need more representatives in the state of Texas, which I can tell you because I'm fascinated by the birth rates because we're in gross population decline in America. But the only people that are having children, particularly in Texas, tend to be who? Not white people. Hispanics. Black people, particularly Hispanics in rural areas. But for some reason, let me just make sure I get this straight. Democrats represent 45% of Texas, but according to the way that Greg Abbott wants to gerrymander the shit out of his state, yet again, we will have 21%, I believe, representation in Congress for the people of Texas. That's actual math, MAGA, not like, I feel like I'm a white middle-aged man and I feel like someone's taking something from me, so I support this man who says men shouldn't wear makeup and wears makeup every day because he told me that he's going, states' rights and everything's going to be okay again. While you actively erode states' rights, actively erode your own individual liberty, actively erode the checks and balances that could keep this psycho in check in the federal government. But states' rights, brother, you're doing the opposite. But I mean, your brain would have to work to figure that out.
Supreme Court has been busy granting, while the Supreme Court has been busy granting corporations more power to influence.
I don't know why that.
Supreme Court has been busy granting, while the Supreme Court has been busy granting corporations more power to influence elections, they've been stripping actual people of their power to influence elections. In 2013, the Supreme Court gutted the 1965 Voting Rights Act in Shelby County versus Holder. The conservative justice's ruling stripped the pre-clearance requirement that states with a history of voter suppression must receive clearance from the federal government before enacting any new voting laws. The court essentially ruled that the racial voter suppression that the Voting Rights Act was intended to guard against no longer existed. In the years since, the very same states that were previously subjected to pre-clearance have passed a wave of voter suppression laws. Unsurprisingly, these laws disproportionately affect voters of color. The Supreme Court has been busy granting, while the Supreme
No, but don't explain to MAGA that you're diluting your own power. That's the most fascinating thing. And you would think I used to think okay, MAGA, the average MAGA is dumb. But the people they must be voting for, they're not dumb, right? This is how, I'm telling you how my brain used to work 2 years ago. I'd be but these people aren't dumb. I remember making this argument 2 years ago. And I remember saying okay, MAGA are definitely dumb. Oh, sorry, puzzle piece. Give me a second. Uh-oh. There we go. We're good. I remember thinking MAGA's dumb, but the people they're electing are less dumb. And why? And I remember sitting there saying this. Why would somebody who's not dumb sit in the legislative branch? That's Congress, MAGA. I know you have no idea what those words mean. Because I've tried to ask several of you to name the 3 branches of Congress and you couldn't. Or sit in the judicial branch and cede power, give up their own power to a dictator. Yeah, I was that wouldn't make sense. If I was a power-hungry, lying, grifting a-hole, I wouldn't cede my own power to another power-hungry, lying, grifting a-hole. Oh, no, I was wrong. MAGA is dumb as shit. There's no end to the idiocy. Okay, and Lisa McClain, whenever Matt and I do our lives on Tuesdays, we're always talking about his rep, Claudia Tenney. Lisa McClain is as bad as Claudia Tenney. She's one of the people I'm just what the is wrong with you? I mean, truly, what is wrong with you, lady? And I just this is the logic, which there's no logic. Trump is doing something not right, and I just want you to watch how Lisa McClain explains that this is okay.
Texas Republicans are arguing their redistricting push is about making the state more competitive. But you heard the president there say the quiet part out loud that he believes the GOP is, quote, entitled to 5 more House seats. Which is it?
Yeah, well, of course, I'm going to side with the president. Listen, I think what we're doing is right. We need to have more representation. And I do believe the president is right. And I don't think
Say the numbers again. Texas is already gerrymandered. I just want to be clear. I'm talking about since the 2020 census, it was gerrymandered. 45% of the state identifies as Democrats. 21% of the representatives sent to Congress are Democrats. They do this by gerrymandering and diluting the brown and black populations around the state. Yeah, you've already done that, Lisa. And I just want to be clear, and I have the quote or the clip somewhere, but I'm not going to go find it. Trump literally said that. He's not denying that it's wrong. He's just saying, I deserve it. I deserve more Republican seats in Texas. Mathematically, you do not. I can say I'm from a state, Arizona, even though we have a blue governor, 2 blue senators. I mean, our maps are messed up. 42% of this state is Hispanic. Period. And then you could tack on black people and indigenous people on top of that. The majority of this state is not white, and this state is gerrymandered within an inch of its life. I mean, nothing like Texas, but I'm just saying this happens everywhere. And I'm going to introduce this idea over and over and over. This is what I mean by saying we can't do the right thing anymore. The left has to do the wrong thing. And we've got to do it wronger We got to do it wronger than the Republicans. We cannot sit by and watch them gerrymander and cheat and just be like, everything will work out while they're cheating their faces off, gerrymandering, diluting minority populations in the South. What do you think we've been up to in blue states? We've been passing laws to only allow independent, nonpartisan third parties to draw maps. Is that going to help us beat a bunch of racist, bigoted, lying fascists? No, it is not. No, it is not. That's the issue. While we are actually in blue states that we have supermajorities making things as fair as they could possibly be, in red states, they're cheating and cheating and cheating. Jojo, thank you so much for extending your subscription. I appreciate it so much. Let's keep... Oh, God, sorry. My iPad just almost ate it.
What we're doing is breaking the law. We are just, for the first time in a long time, playing the same game as the Democrats have played for years. And quite frankly, they don't
understand, because Lisa McClain is an idiot. And no offense, Lisa, I'm not saying that because she's a woman. It's not because she's a woman. Republicans are idiots. Period. So I just don't want you to think I'm not getting on her because she's a woman. I try not to attack women who happen to be Republicans. Thank you, Maxwell, for subscribing again. And I'm sorry for being a rad resistor. Love you, Maxwell. I haven't seen you in a while on YouTube. But do you see what this is? This is classic Freudian gaslighting. Like pointing your finger and saying, hey, what I'm guilty of, I'm just going to point my finger at someone else and say they did it. You're saying that we have been gerrymandering? No, we haven't. As a matter of fact, and you can, MAGA, you can't read or do math, so you won't be able to do any of this. But for those of us who can research, I can show you every single law that's been passed in blue states where there's supermajorities that make way for independent, nonpartisan commissions to district states, to create fair districts based on real population growth, right? That's what blue states have been doing. And she's like, oh, we're just now. So and I'm very sensitive to this because I was raised by a malignant narcissist. So I just want you to listen of how narcissism, you don't have to have narcissistic personality disorder inside of capitalism to pick up on how it works, to gaslight people, to point your finger and saying, don't look at us. Hey, what we're doing, I'm just going to point and accuse someone else. And this is one of the dumbest people I've ever heard speak. And she's smart enough to do it.
representation. And I do believe the president is right. And I don't think what we're doing is breaking the law. We are just, for the first time in a long time, playing the same game as the Democrats have played for years. And quite frankly, they don't like it and they're not used to it. So we'll see how this turns out. But at the end of the day, I hope we pick up 5 more seats, right? I hope we pick up more seats in other places because our policies are what's going to win us the seats as well. Not just the seats, but it's our policies, Wolf.
Your policies that are robbing all of us to give more to billionaires and corporations. Somehow I doubt it, Lisa. You're fucking liar. Like, how can someone this dumb? This is how I know MAGA's dumb. This is literally one of the dumbest people I've ever heard speak. And MAGA's like, yep, that makes sense. Like, MAGA, that's how I know you're dumb. Is because you hear people who are this dumb talking and you're like, yep, couldn't mean the opposite, that I'm being robbed and I'm a giant idiot. I definitely don't need to look into any of this.
Again, I just keep going back to it. We didn't make the rules of the game. We're just, for the first time in a long time, playing by the rules of the game. And
but the rules of the game, Congresswoman, with all due respect, the rules of the game always traditionally have been after a census. Every 10 years, there's a new census in the United States. That's when you can redraw.
To be clear, she's saying the Democrats broke the rules and now we're just breaking them too. That's incorrect. They broke the rules first, foremost, and only. Period. What are you talking about? Censuses are every 10 years. That's when you redistrict. Now you are breaking the rules. And Lisa Idiot McClain either got a bunch of talking points. I mean, her job is just to S Trump's D 24 hours a day and lie for him. Like, you cannot be this dumb.
The districts based on where the populations have evolved to. This is a new deal now. In the middle will be, there's no decade new census now. They're just doing it now, Republicans. I don't think the Democrats have actually done it in advance so many years ahead of a new census.
Yeah, I wish you'd put up the Illinois map as well. That's a good map to show as well. But with all due respect, and I appreciate that argument, Wolf, is there's nothing that says we can't.
Just want to be clear, and MAGA, this will never include you, but there are university classes you can take taught by history professors on the history of voter suppression and gerrymandering. And it always starts in the same place with conservatives in the South who wanted to stop black and brown people from voting, and it has emanated into the rest of the country. And I love now, like, I just want you to notice, this is how abusers are, right? Like, I was raised by a malignant narcissist much smarter than Trump, and it was like, she would abuse me and abuse me and abuse me, and if I would fight back and defend myself, she'd be like, you're abusing me. Right? Like, if you start playing the same game, if you get hip to the game, if you're like, wait, why is this working like this? Like, none of this makes sense. Then they point at you and they're like, wait, you're abusing them. No, you're just trying to stop yourself from being abused. But then they point at you and they're like, no, now you're abusing me. So you're like, wait a minute, am I? And I think Democrats have started to, like, for so long have been those people. Like, Republicans will be like, no, they're gerrymandering. If we spent the rest of our lives gerrymandering every map in a state we had a supermajority, we would never equal the amount of voter suppression that has occurred in the South. It was born in the South, during Reconstruction. It lives there, it breathes there, it grows there every single day. And for them to then point at us and be like, oh, it's you, like, hey, I don't know how stupid you think people are. Well, I do know why, because MAG is so stupid. Like, I mean, you guys are beyond help. But not all of us are stupid. And some of us grew up with people much smarter than Trump gaslighting us. Like, Lisa, it's sad.
Can't do it now. It's just we are doing it now. And President Trump, as you know, is bold, is aggressive, and he's playing within his purview. And that's it. He's not doing anything wrong. He's trying to right side.
Just want everyone to understand that when we gerrymander the shit out of California, remember that no one's doing anything wrong. It's all within our purview, right? When Trump cheats, lies, steals, breaks laws, refuses to use the money Congress appropriated for the appropriate things, has done every single thing Nixon has done times 1,000. They're like, he's bold, he's aggressive. Just keep that same energy when it starts coming back at you. Just remember that Trump's bold, Trump's aggressive, Trump's not a criminal. Make sure you keep that energy, creepy Lisa.
What has been wronged for so long, right? Massachusetts, let's talk about Maryland, let's talk about Illinois. He's bold, he's aggressive, and he is going to fight for the Republican Party. That's his job, and that's exactly what he's doing.
I just want to be clear. Every value that the Republican Party says in their charter they stand for, Trump is actively opposed to. He blew out the deficit. He borrowed when he shouldn't have. Like, every single thing Trump ran on, he went against. So every word this woman says is factually untrue. She's just a professional, like, fluffer. Truly.
Do we believe in our democracy? Do we believe in our Constitution? Do we believe in voting rights? Because if we do, now is the time. This is the fight. If not now, when? If you're not going to fight now, when are you going to fight? Stand up, join us right now as the Democratic Party as we stand with these brave patriots, and they are patriots. These Texas House members, that's patriotism. Unlike this bozo, this orange-faced bozo in the White House who calls himself a patriot as he's shredding the Constitution, as he's trampling on voting rights, let's call it out for what it is. It's bullshit, and we're going to stand up and fight.
Orange-faced bozo? Oh my God, what an accurate description. Orange-faced bozo in makeup who says men shouldn't wear makeup. Yeah, puts makeup on every day. Super weird. Nobody can make sense of it. Oh, except MAGA. Because they're into it. Oh, here's another good moment from Brett myself.
I'm against gerrymandering in general, right? I think it's horrible that politicians are able to choose their own voters. But that does not mean that we could unilaterally disarm and you just allow parties to do that while you just stand by and let them run you over with a truck. I mean, that makes zero sense to me. So I'm happy that you have governors like Newsom and Hochul who are speaking out and are saying, well, if you're going to do that, well, we're going to do that too. And I want to remind everybody also, because Democrats are so graded on a curve and they're not actually given any credit for the things that they actually do try to push. I want to remind you to one of the first things that the Democrats tried to do back in 2021 after President Biden took office then. They tried to pass what? The Freedom to Vote Act. This was one of their big pieces of legislation that they tried to put forward. In 2021,
God, I said this like a week ago in a debate, and they're like, no, yeah, thank you. Oh, a white man saying it, so maybe people will receive the information. Biden tried to pass a law that would have stopped Trump from doing any of this. And guess who wouldn't vote for it? I'll give you a hint. It's all the Republicans.
Freedom to Vote Act banned partisan gerrymandering. It was one of the big provisions of the act. And it wasn't like some lefty, out there far left bill as like the Republicans like to explain. This was a bill to reform our election system. It banned partisan gerrymandering. It required voter ID, something that Republicans like to say that Democrats are totally against. Guess what? Not a single Republican voted for the Freedom to Vote Act. That would have solved all of these issues. Democrats had a bill in Congress, in the Senate, that would have codified a ban on partisan gerrymandering, and the Republicans blocked it. That's something that we need to be calling out here. And you could run that, by the way, on every issue that Republicans try to pin on the Democrats. Case in point, the border, right? Who put forward the border bill? It was President Biden's big initiative. He got with a conservative Republican senator, a very conservative Republican senator, James Lankford. They put together this bipartisan border bill, something that was probably, honestly, far more strict than a lot of Democrats even wanted, honestly. But Democrats were on board to pass this because they actually wanted to fix the issue. What did Republicans do? They voted it down. They threw every name at Democrats in the book. They had Trump attacking James Lankford for working with Democrats. Trump openly said that he wanted to go against that bill because it would help the Democrats. He didn't care about helping the country. He just wanted to make the border and make these situations as bad as possible to help with his election chances. We see Republicans cynically using all of these issues time and time again, rather than approaching them as how do we actually solve this issue? How do we solve the issue on the border? How do we solve the issue of partisan gerrymandering? They take it and they try to weaponize it to use it against Democrats and use it to get themselves elected and entrench themselves with power. We see it every single time on every single bill, so we got to call it out. I'm against gerrymandering.
And I think that is such a good point, right? Like, Trump has still, and again, MAGA can't read or do math, so it's impossible. I don't know how we get them to understand that they're idiots. Because, I mean, it's like watching toddlers be like, I know everything. Are you sure? Or are you just a toddler screaming for a snack and a nap? Like, right? Have we passed meaningful, right? You guys are so concerned with the border. Have we passed immigration law? Have we passed any meaningful immigration law that would change anything? Absolutely not. What do we have? We have a bunch, follow the money, which MAGA, you can't do math or read, so it's going to be very hard for you. But some of us have, and we know that Trump pretending to care about immigration was just a mass money grab. It was funding the growth of private prisons. It's just billions and billions of dollars being moved in the hands of corporations and billionaires. Look up GeoCore and Civic Group. You can use opensecrets.org. Look up which Congress people, I think 83% of them last time I did this on Open Secrets, 83% of the people who were bribed by Geo Group and Core Civic were Republicans. There are some moderate Democrats who accepted some money, but yeah, I think 83% are Republicans. This was all a money grab.